when you're in a hospital, it's not like you're in a hotel. Like, you get what you get and you don't get upset. But when hello everyone, my name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. And today I'm going to be sharing an experience that I've had. This has been requested by a few of the ladies on this channel, and I try as much as I can to take on your requests and answer your questions. And a few people have asked me what my experience was giving birth in Australia. So I just wanted to make two videos, like a part one and a part two. Part one being this video where I'm going to be talking about the experience that I had giving birth twice in an Australian hospital. And I'm also going to do a part two where I'm going to be talking about the costs associated with giving birth in Australia as a citizen or permanent resident, and also as a migrant or immigrant on a temporary work visa, and also the different government benefits that are there for parental leave. So that will be in part two. So on to today's video. Gonna be sharing with you my experience giving birth in Australia. So I had my son here in Australia in 2015, and that was my first experience in an Australian hospital, like maternity and their prenatal and postnatal care. And I know this can be something that, you know, a lot of people who are looking to come to Australia might be interested in if you're looking to come and start a family in Australia. And I must say, when I, was on my journey to have my son, it was something that I didn't know what to expect. Like, I had been in Australian hospitals before, for different things, but I hadn't experienced their maternity care. And I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and from what I have heard from people who have given birth in Zimbabwe, especially those who have, who gave birth, I think probably a long time ago, they shared that their maternity care, they experienced a little bit of harshness, sometimes from the nurses. So I was a little bit anxious and I didn't know what to expect. But I must say, I was very pleasantly surprised by the level of care that Australia, or I'll just speak for myself, that I received here in Brisbane in a public hospital, with the journey of giving birth to my son. So I'll start with the prenatal care. So the prenatal care, you get that at the prenatal department of the hospital that you're going to give birth at. So I started my prenatal appointments. I think at first they're a few months apart, and then they're 1 month apart, and then a few weeks apart, leading to a week apart, leading to the birth of your child. So I used to go to prenatal appointments at the hospital that I gave birth at, and those prenatal appointments were so thorough. They were so helpful. And as a first-time mom, I didn't know anything and I didn't know what to expect. But every person that I saw was very, very nice. The service was just very good. They sent you reminders of your appointments. Everything is pretty straightforward. You don't have to stress about a lot of things. And for my journey with my son, we actually found out that, we needed some special care with the prenatal care because of some things that were going on with him. So we're actually, made to see a specialist doctor. So the prenatal care is usually led by midwives in an Australian public hospital, if you're looking to go public. And so we were seeing midwives until the point that, we discovered some issues and we had to see a professional doctor for our prenatal appointments. And just on a bit of background on why I chose to deliver at a public hospital versus a private hospital. So you've got two choices in Australia. You can either go public or private. But I think for us at that time, I had worked in a hospital setting, and so had my husband. And, you know, we had a bit of, mostly my husband had a bit of an idea on like the maternity care in a private hospital. And one thing I can say for me, from my perspective, what I see as the two major differences between public and private. Firstly, private, you obviously get the private experience. I mean, you get your own single room. It's usually a double bed, sometimes two double beds in the room, one for yourself and the baby and one for your partner. I mean, everything else, the level of service, it's more like, you know, hotel type of service. It's more luxurious. And compared to a public hospital where it's mostly like, you know, basic hospital look, there's nothing luxurious. It is what it is. And there are usually also some bays as well, like where you've got like maybe two people in a room, or you have three people. Like this was my experience at the hospital that I gave birth in. You would have like three people in a room or two people in a room, or you also had single rooms for those parents that had kids and they had a bit of complication and they needed, you know, that privacy, so they would get a single room. So that's one difference, is the luxury aspect of it. The second difference, which was the thing that was most important to me and my husband, was how equipped the hospital is to deal with emergencies and complications when it comes to the pregnancy. Now, if you experience complications with your child at a private hospital, they do not have the facilities to really deal with all different type of complications. So they will transfer you to a public hospital, which is better equipped to deal with those complications and emergencies. And I think for us, we just wanted that assurance that, you know, we will be able to get the best care if there's any complication that we come across being first-time parents. And we had also heard that the staff that work at private hospital, now this is debatable, but for our opinion and from our perspective, the staff that worked at a private hospital, like they seem to be a bit like older staff, more experienced staff, and a bit more old school, like, you know, they know the old school kind of techniques, and compared to the more private, more modern type of hospitals. So that's what we really wanted. It was more the level of care. And in part 2 of this video, I will go into costs. So I'll save that for part 2, the cost section. But yeah, that was like the main difference, that why we chose public hospital was the level of care. And we really did experience that. The level of care that I received was exquisite, with all the complications that were there with my son. Like everything was addressed, and we felt like, you know, we got the best care possible. And in terms of preparation for if anything was to happen, like even at delivery, they were so prepared. They talked me through everything, and I was really comfortable with the care. And the other thing that we were offered is classes, because we were first-time parents. We went to classes like pre-parenting classes that we used to go to, where like they teach you things about raising kids, what to expect at delivery. They go through different things like medications you can take, epidural, and they also go through raising the kids, as in, you know, the first few weeks, few months of their life, like how to take care of the child and all those kind of things. So, you know, it was really good preparation for first-time parents. We didn't really know, and it was good to also meet other first-time parents in that class where we could kind of learn together. So that was a good experience. And then coming to the delivery itself, so on the date that I was given for my delivery, so I was actually induced, so I knew exactly when I had to go to the hospital. So when I went to the hospital, I went firstly to the maternity ward for some preparations and the induction itself. It started in the maternity ward and I stayed there overnight. And the nurses were very, very nice, very kind, and very patient with me. They really explained the process, because as you can imagine, you don't even know what a contraction feels like or what your body's supposed to do. So they really explained the whole process. It was a very pleasant experience. And the next morning when I was taken to the birthing suites, like, I was so pleasantly surprised with the look of the birthing suite for a public hospital, like the one that I was at. They really, really looked quite nice. They were very spacious. There was a lot in that room. So it's got like a room and, you know, it's a private room and a bathroom. It's very spacious. And I actually went in there with my husband and my mom. So there was plenty of space for the three of us, including all the medical staff that were attending. And, you know, besides the pain and the horror of actually the whole experience, the care was really good. And I actually ended up getting an emergency C-section, and they were very responsive. And I think the doctors made the call at the correct time, and my son was delivered safely. And when it came to going to the ward, my son had to go to the special care nursery. So I only stayed with him for, you know, a few minutes in the ward before they had to take him away to the special care nursery. But they would bring him to me, you know, for different periods during the day so I could feed him and bond with him. But otherwise, he spent about 2 to 3 days. It was about 3 days just kind of staying in the special care nursery. And it was really good. Like, I had a C-section. The care, the aftercare was very good. The nurses were so helpful, like helping you take a shower, all the kind of stuff. All the help that a new mom needs who's just had a C-section was provided, and it was provided with so much care. Like, the level of care that I received was just tremendous. Like, it was absolutely amazing, and I'm so grateful to the staff at that hospital. So when it came to my daughter, I delivered my daughter in 2021. We didn't even have to think about it, whether we're going to go public or private, because we had received such good care at the public hospital. We went public again with my daughter, and the care was the same. This time I had a scheduled C-section, and it was so smooth, no complications, everything was good. My daughter didn't have to go to special care, and you know, it was a really, really good experience. The aftercare, and must I say, the food in the ward was good. I am really fussy about food, and I know when you're in a hospital, it's not like you're in a hotel. Like, you get what you get and you don't get upset. But when I was in the ward, I was so pleasantly surprised with the quality of food that we received at the hospital. Like, it was so good. And I mean, for a public hospital, to be honest, I wasn't expecting much, but it was over and above my expectations. Everything relating to like the care, the food, the service, and even the cleanliness, like of the bathroom, because I was actually I think the first time I was like in a room with one other person, and then the second time I was in a room with 2 other people. Like, they cleaned the bathroom after every person's bath. So whenever you would go for a bath, the bathroom was clean, and the nurse would go in with you and, you know, help you in the shower and give you everything that you needed until you're like all ready and you're back on your bed. So that was really, really good. And, you know, the visiting times were there, and there was also like a separate lounge that you could go to with your visitors if you wanted a little bit more privacy. But yeah, that was basically my experience giving birth twice in Australia in a public hospital. I think if you're looking to come to Australia and you're looking to start a family, like, you know, I haven't had experience in a private hospital, but I can tell you from my experience in a public hospital, it is definitely worth considering, and you will get really, really good care. And you can be assured that if any complications arise, that the hospital is equipped to deal with that. And that really is good for a parent to have that level of assurance. So yeah, that's it for this part 1, guys. Please watch out for part 2, where I'll be breaking down the costs associated with giving birth in Australia, and also how much you get paid as for paid parental leave, and also some important and exciting changes coming when it comes to paid parental leave. So that's it from me. I'll see you in the next video.